Halloween passes, and a plethora of other holidays coming up afterwards are the next big thing on people's minds. The season of giving thanks, the season of gift giving, or lately in recent years, the season of Shen, as joked by those who have seen the colossal purple billboards towering above expressways and busy avenues, which is something more people have probably been noticing as the years go on and the advertisements for the Chinese performance becomes more widespread. What is this must-see show that the billboard claims it to be, and what is it beyond just being a performance art? A few years ago, between the months of November and March, I started noticing large purple billboards popping up around the Metro Detroit area with the words Shen Yun, a must-see, printed onto it, alongside an image of a festive woman. It was seen in such a frequent amount that I figured it was a local performing group investing heavily into advertisements to get their feet off the ground and attempt to gain recognition for their dance performance that shares a lost world of traditional Chinese culture. This year, however, the billboards piqued my curiosity enough to where I had to look up Shen Yun for myself and learn more, perhaps even witness a show myself. I began searching online for reviews on the show, and to my surprise, this wasn't a Metro Detroit only event. It wasn't even a national thing, but a worldwide tour with advertisements and shows spanning the entire earth, with the exception of China, something that seemed odd for a performance dedicated in sharing Chinese culture. The ads for Shen Yun were especially dominant in the San Francisco Bay Area, but I found people from places like Czech Republic and Sweden sharing their experiences of the show, which, by the way, were not all that great and often called a waste of hundreds of dollars. This is where things got especially interesting, when people started to bring up the words cult and propaganda in the reviews. Doing a quick general search of Shen Yun, it's apparent from the Wikipedia article right away that Shen Yun Company is founded by practitioners of a religious group called Falun Gong, which is interestingly enough based out of the state of New York. It didn't make sense at first as to why Shen Yun was prohibited from occurring in China, and why the creators were headquartered in the United States, until I looked deeper and learned of the tension between Falun Gong and the Chinese government. In the Wikipedia article, it states that Chinese diplomats have also sent letters to elected officials in the West exhorting them not to attend or otherwise support the performance, which they described as propaganda intended to smear China's image. I decided to look further into Falun Gong to see what exactly they stood for and their purpose as a religious group. They're a group led by Li Hongzhi, who started Falun Gong in 1992 as a spiritual exercise group dabbling in meditation and practicing an advanced form of Buddhism. The exercises are intended to cultivate the body and strengthen the practitioner's supernatural abilities by means of Gong Force, a mind-body cultivation to achieve spiritual perfection. This in time, however, changed as the numbers of practitioners increased to the millions, and the Chinese government became aware of the philosophical beliefs of the group and its Taoist moral principles. The group openly opposes the secular state of China. The growth made the Chinese government feel threatened, and they began to crack down on Falun Gong, talking down on the group as though they were a cancer to China and violated human rights with their beliefs in opposition to the government. Practitioners were even tortured and imprisoned at a point in the mid-90s, when popularity of the group was especially high. The feud between Falun Gong and the Chinese government seems as though it were a complicated one. As with anything, no matter where you go, you will see people siding with one and opposing the other. I looked into people's stories who directly work with the Shen Yun Company, and a user on this website by the name of Erval describes his brief, unpleasant experience working with the ballet company. He says Li Hongzhi claims the ability to fly, shapeshift, and other supernatural abilities, but displayed actions that would counteract those claims, like being unable to play his instrument in the company's orchestra, and features that don't come off as typical godlike. A short, overweight man with glasses. not something of a godly physical specimen. He also brought up having a belief in mermaids and other mythical creatures. If anything, Li Hongzhi comes off as the modern-day L. Ron Hubbard, and Falun Gong is his Scientology. There's no doubt Falun Gong has many people involved that have good intent, and that the group itself has qualities of good intent, but a lot of it does come off as odd and cultish. There have been claims that those political prisoners of Falun Gong were harvested for their organs by the Chinese government, which the government denies the allegations time and time again. China does have one of the largest organ transplant programs in the world, and actions in the past, specifically the mystery behind the tank man of Tiananmen Square protests of 1989, does raise suspicion despite their denial. And yet another rabbit hole of conspiracies, speculation, and evidence is opened up in the already complicated subject matter of the two sides' conflict. So Shen, from what I could gather, is the clever marketing of Falun Gong to spread the word of the group to the world through an extravagant, pricey performance art. It came off as something very mysterious at first, and the marketing had me digging deeper, which I assume was the intention to get you on board with Falun Gong once you read into it enough. But the overall concept is just another cult borrowing absurdity from Scientology and blowing itself up to astronomical proportions to reach large masses of people. It's Scientology, but with a battle against the government going back 25 years. Shen Yun succeeded in grabbing my interest, but not enough to justify spending a hefty sum of money for the self-proclaimed must-see show that puts emphasis on propaganda, or enough to dive deeper into the subject of cults and politics.